What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman Hazmat suit from Justice League, the Amazo virus. And so here we do have the Hazmat suit Batman pose and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his one and only accessory, and that is a McFarlane display stand. He doesn't come with any accessories, no alternate hands, nothing to speak of, so that is very unfortunate. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually have a closer look at Hazmat Batman. And so here we have a closer look at Hazmat suit Batman, and overall this is a really nice design for the figure. It really does capture the look of Batman from the Amazo virus with some alterations to make it more McFarlane-esque, I guess would be the proper term. I really do like the head sculpt underneath this. It does look like Batman, but as you can see, there is a plastic covering around his face, so you really can't see how nice the sculpt work is. It does appear like it is one of the better Batman faces that we've been given by McFarlane, and you can see right here he does have a grimacing expression on him, which I really do like. If this was an imported figure, the mask would pop off and then you could interchange the faces that way. That would have been a really nice feature for this. So the version we're looking at here is the standard release. This is not the Target exclusive version. This one does not light up, unfortunately, but it does have some issues that we're going to go over in a little bit. But really do like this, and I do like the fact that he does have a rebreather right here. You can see the tubes going into his backpack right there. And yes, I would assume this is a rebreather, not an air tank, because rebreathers are used for this situation. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I really do like the head sculpt. Having a look at the figure, you can actually see this is the exact same torso that would be on the Target exclusive one that lights up, and you can actually see inside to where the light would be. Very, very unfortunate. I would have preferred this being completely whited out rather than transparent plastic, because you can honestly see where the light would go in, which makes me think that there really isn't going to be much difference from this to the Target exclusive version. Now, I do expect there to be a button somewhere right here, only because of how loose this feels, and you can honestly like push it in and it actually does move a little bit. So I'm guessing that the mechanism would be press his his air tank through it like that, and then it would light up, but I honestly don't know. But yeah, really lazy on McFarlane's part. I would have preferred this being just white plastic or just painted white. That way it looks like it's glowing, because as it stands you can see inside, and that's never a good thing. But overall the costume does look really nice. I do like the fact that he has armor plating in certain areas, being his chest right here, and you can see he does have a bit of armor covering the neck. We do have armor plating here on the back. Really do like the fact that they did sculpt the straps that go on the rebreather pack right there, and they do go underneath his armor, so it's not like you can just rip this off of him. It's really secure on him, at least in comic book lore. He does have these really bulky pauldrons right here. Don't know why he would need bulky pauldrons if he's supposed to be wearing a hazmat suit. You would think that it would be a little more form-fitting to give him a little more movement, but yeah, we do have some pauldrons that kind of look like welding masks. Do they not look like welding masks? I think they honestly do. That looks like the visor and then the way they flips up. But yeah, he does have bulky pauldrons, a bulky elbow for some reason, and then we have his Batman spikes right here. I do like the fact that on this side we do have what looks like a communicator right here that has like a control panel, so I do like that. On the other side we just have a gauntlet here. This figure is lacking paint, and I know the Target exclusive version will have better paint applications because it is a little more expensive, but it also has a light up feature. So yeah, this is a very simplified version of that figure. It doesn't have as much paint, but it's still a very nice figure. I would have liked to see some added paint, like maybe some differences between plastic right here that would have made the armor stand out versus the tunic that he's wearing. Utility belt, for some reason it's brown. That's something we really rarely ever see on Batman, is a brown utility belt. And normally it's yellow or gold, and here they opted for brown, which is kind of strange to be quite honest. And then on his thighs you can see he does have some armor bits right here, what looks to be some containers, a pouch that isn't painted unfortunately. I really wish this pouch was painted to match the belt. And then we have some straps that they painted right here, but they didn't paint here, so yeah, missed opportunity to give us some really nice paint apps. Knee pads are done separate, as separate pieces of plastic. They are a little bit rubbery, so you don't have to worry about these breaking, because if this was made of just solid plastic, if this fell on it when his knee was bent, that would snap right off. But as you can see, it is a really nice rubbery piece, so I do like that. One thing I'm not a fan of is how they did his boots. Now normally the way McFarlane does boots is that it's molded in one color and then the boot is painted. This is actually a two-piece calf right here. We do have the base plastic right here and a rubber overlay. I'm not opposed to having two types of plastic where it would swivel right here, but I don't like this rubber boot. It really does make it hard to line everything up, and it moves around, and you can see it does gap up quite frequently, so that is a little bit unfortunate. I would not like to see that on future releases, but it is something McFarlane has started to do. So yeah, his boots do look nice. We do have some treads on the outside and a little bit on the inside, so they did take some care in sculpting his boots, so that is a really nice plus. Again, this just doesn't work for me. I don't like it when they make the boots a rubbery overlay, because then they just move around. If you're just messing around with the figure, they come out of alignment easy, and yeah, I really don't want to see that on McFarlane figures or any figure in general. If they're gonna do this, at least make the thigh or the boot cut right here and then make that peg in, because this not a fan of. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Batman compared to other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have Hazmat Batman posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Hazmat Batman posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. And finally, here we do have Hazmat Batman posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at Hazmat Batman's articulation. Now, as you would expect, because of how he is designed, there are some limitations in articulation. For starters, because he does have these air hoses running up to his mask, you really can't have him look all the way around, because that does stretch the tubes on this side, and when you go the other way, that starts stretching the tube. Although this one does seem to have more give than this one, I really wouldn't be putting these through as much stress as you would expect, because they do seem like they would pop out fairly easy. He can look up to about right there, which is pretty good, and he can look down to about right there, so that's somewhat decent. He can tilt his head side to side, which works really nicely. He does have a ball joint going into the torso, so that does pivot back, forward, up and down. Then it does go out to the side only to about right there before you do pop it out of the joint, and the main reason for that is because of his pauldron right here. You don't get too far out there, and if you try pushing it again, you will pop the arm out. But I'd rather the figure pop off than break off. That's something I would much rather see. So arm does go all the way around. We do have a bicep swivel, which works fine. We have a double bend at the elbow going to about right there. We have a very ugly ball hinge right here in the wrist, so that does go down and up. We can rotate that to have in and out hinge, so that's pretty decent, I guess. And then he has some really tiny hands. I don't know why McFarlane is giving these figures tiny hands. But anyway, he can rotate at the torso, but again, you would have that same issue where these air tanks or air hoses connect right here, and you really don't want to be putting too much stress on these, to be quite honest. Virtually no ab crunch going forward and very little going back. He can tilt to the side quite a bit, only because of that secondary ball joint here, and with that he can lean back surprisingly well. That's actually quite impressive. And moving forward, it's virtually non-existent, unfortunately. Legs do kick forward to about right there. They kick back about that far. Out to the side, no problem. He does have a thigh swivel. double bend here at the knee, going to about right there. So we get some really nice range there. He does swivel at the ankle, does have a hinge that goes back and forward. Then we can rotate that to give him a true rocker ankle, or you can just use a forward facing pin. And then finally, a very generous toe hinge. So overall, Batman here has some pretty decent articulation. It's not the best, but it's obviously not the worst that we've seen. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Batman posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the McFarlane hazmat suit Batman pose for my final thoughts. And overall, this is a well sculpted figure. I really do like the way he looks. There's a lot of nice details on this Batman, and that's something McFarlane has been very good at, is adding a lot of detail to their figures. Now, one thing I'm not a fan of, the distinct feeling that this is missing a lot of paint, and I have a sneaky suspicion that a lot of the value of this figure is actually going to go toward the Target exclusive, which is probably going to have better paint apps, and it's a sneaking suspicion I have, only because that chest piece is a little bit telling right here. There's a lot of indicators saying that the Target exclusive is going to be the superior version, which is very unfortunate, because if you're unable to find the Target exclusive Hazmat Batman in stores, this is a really nice substitution. I kind of wish that they took the same care on that figure as they did with this one. This one still feels like a good figure, but it's very obvious that it is missing a lot of paint apps, especially with some of the straps and the pouches. I would like to see that same care on the exclusive version here on this basic version. It's a shame that we have to pick and choose which one we're getting, but unfortunately this one I feel is missing a lot of paint. Not to say he's not a bad figure, he's still very impressive in his own right, but I know a lot of people aren't going to be too fond of Hazmat Suit Batman here, and I completely understand it is from a story not a lot of people have read. So if you are a fan of the Hazmat Suit Batman, I really do recommend you pick him up, either this version or the Target version. If you are picking up the standard release of Hazmat Batman, he will run you $19.99, which is fair for McFarlane figures, but it does show that it doesn't have as much paint as you would expect. Because it's a $20 figure, you can assume that they're really not going to put as much paint on this as they would an exclusive figure. So do it with that information as you will. I still recommend this Hazmat Suit Batman if you're unable to track down the Target exclusive version, or if you want a really cool looking Batman in your collection. Otherwise, I can see this as a figure that most people pass on. So do with that as you will with that information I've given you guys. So with that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other DC Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.